This stylish off-shoulder top is easy than you think. Let me show you guys how to make it step by step. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you guys how to draft and cut this top. It's beginner friendly, so let's get started. So for this particular style, I used 2 yards of this fabric, or you can use any fabric of your choice. You also be needing your shirt button and the matching thread. So let's get started. So guys, the first thing that I do is to rule a straight line, which is going to serve as my starting line and shoulder line. So after I'm done with that, from the side, I'm going to come in by 1.5 inches for the body stand and rule the line straight down. So after I'm done with that, from the shoulder line, I'm going to come down by 10.5 inches for the bust line, 16 inches for the waistline, and 24 inches for the top length. So after that, I'm going to roll out a vertical line. So guys, after I'm done roll out the line, I'm going to label it bust line, waistline, and also the top length. After that, I'm going to go up on the shoulder line and divide my shoulder measurement by 2. My shoulder is 15 divided by 2, which is 7.5 inches. So from there, I'm going to come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. So from that 1 inch that I come down, I'm going to measure my armhole length, which is 7.5 inches. So to get your armhole length, you need to divide your bust circumferences by 6 plus 1.5 inches. So I'm going to connect it to 1 inch that I come down for the shoulder slope and also roll out the vertical line, which I'm going to label it the chest line. So from the center front on the shoulder line, I'm going to mark in my neck width, which is 3.5 inches for the basic neckline. So I'm going to connect it to the shoulder slope and come down on the chest line and divide my bust circumferences by 4. My bust is 36 divided by 4, which is 9 inches plus 1.5 inches for the sewing allowance. So after that, I also come down on the waistline and divide my waist circumferences by 4. My waist is 32 divided by 4, which is 8 plus 1.5 inches for the sewing allowance. So on the top length, I'm going to divide my hip circumferences by 4. My hip is 42 divided by 4, which is 10.5 inches. I'm also going to add 1.5 inches for the stitches allowance. So after that, I'm going to connect the points together. So after I'm done with that, on the armhole length, I'm going to find the midpoint and come in by 0.75. So after I'm done with that, I will now curve out my armhole curve by connecting the 3 points together. So after that, on the bust line from the center front, I'm going to divide my bust span, which means your nipple to nipple divided by 2. Mine is 7 inches divided by 2, which is 3.5 inches. So I mark it on the bust line, the waistline, and also the top line before I connect it together. So on the shoulder line, I'm going to find the midpoint, which is 2 inches. So after that, I'm going to connect it to the bust line. So for the neck depth, I'll be using 6 inches for this particular style. So after I'm done marking it, I will just roll out a straight line to the armhole. So after that, I'm going to tighten the neckline. So I'll be using 1.5 inches to tighten it. I just divide equally on both sides of the line, which is 0.75 on each side of the line before I connect it back to the bust point. So because we are working with off shoulder style, I'm also going to take out half inches on the side hair on the neckline and blend it to the armhole. And the reason why I did that is to avoid the fabric keep falling. So we did that to make sure that the fabric stay where it's supposed to stay on the body. So I'm going to cut out the pattern. So after that, I'm going to do the front pattern to cut out the back pattern. What I need to do, just fold in my body stand inside and place another paper and use my tracing wheel to trace it out. And for the back neck depth, we are using the same neck depth that we use for the front pattern. We're also going to use the same thing for the back pattern. So that is why I'm tracing out the neckline for the front pattern. And the only place that I will not trace out is the tightening on the neckline for the front pattern. I'm not going to trace it out. And then the armhole cuff. So after I'm not tracing it out, I'm going to remove my front pattern and then use my marker to make the line more visible. So after I'm done with that, the next thing I'm going to do now is to cuff out my back armor cuff. So I'm going to find the midpoint on the armor line and they come in by half inches before I cuff out my armor cuff. So after I'm done with that, I'm going to label the pattern. After that, I'm going to put the back pattern aside and then continue working with our front pattern. So the tightening that we did on the front neckline, it has become that, but I don't want to hold it as a dart on the neckline. So I'm going to transfer it to the waist. To do that, I'm just going to slash through this line and stop at the bust point. So after that, I'm going to close it. So after I'm done closing it, we have done transferring the dart that we have on the neckline to the waist, or you can just transfer it to on the hand that if you don't want it on the waist. So after that, I'm going to reshape my neckline. So after that, I will start cutting out the pattern. So after I'm done with that, from the body stand line at the hem of the top, I'm going to cut in by 1.5 inches. So I'm going to blend it to nothing on the waistline to the button stand, like you see me doing so. So that is it for the front pattern. So guys, after I'm done with that, I'm going to mark my button space. So I'll be using 1.5 inches between each of the points, but I later turn into 2.5 inches when I'm making a button holes on the fabric. So guys, that is it for the front pattern. Let's move back to the back pattern. At the center back on the waistline, I'm going to come down by 0.75 and also go up by 0.75 and then connect it to nothing on this side. After I'm done with that, I'm going to close it up. So what I'm trying to do is to remove some bulginess at the back of the pattern, because you're working with a fitted top even though the back doesn't have any zipper. So that is why I remove 1.5 inches to make the back well fitted without any bulginess at the back pattern. So guys, because we remove 1.5 inches from the back pattern, the center back is not straight again, so I'm going to separate the pattern from the waistline. So after I'm not separate the pattern, I'm going to cut out the rest. So after that, I'm also going to label my pattern. So after I'm done labeling the pattern, on the back neckline and the armhole line, I'm also going to come in by half inches like what we did for the front pattern and also blend it to the armhole before I cut it out. So after I'm done with that, on the waistline here at the center back, I'm also going to come in by half inches and then blend it to the neckline. So this is also for the bodiness at the back. So after that, I'm going to trim it out. So that is it for the back pattern. So the next thing that I did is drafting a sleeve pattern. So my pattern is in a fold, as you can see, and I also rule out a straight line at the top, which is going to be the starting line. So from there, I come down by 25 inches for the sleeve length. So I'm also going to rule out a straight line there. So from the starting line, I just come down by 4.5 inches. You also use 5 inches as well. It's also work perfect. So that is the length of my sleeve cap. So from the starting line, I'm going to come in by 4 inches and then go down to the cap length and then divide my bicep measurement by 2 plus 2 inches. So my bicep measurement is 13 plus 2 inches, making it 15 divided by 2, making it 7.5 inches that I marked. So the extra 2 inches that I had is for the ease because the sleeve is not fitted, plus 1.5 inches for the stitches allowance. So from that 4 inches that I mark at the top line, I'm going to come down from there by half inches. So after that, I will start cuff out my sleeve cuff by connecting the point together like you see me doing. So for the sleeve hem line, I'll be using 12 inches. I just divided it by 2, which gives me 6 inches, and I had my 1.5 inches for the stitches allowance before I connect it together. So after I'm not connecting it together, so the next thing I'm doing now is to remove my sleeve band from the sleeve length. So I'm using 7 inches. So from the top I have 18 inches, so that's 7 inches that I mark. So after that, I'm going to roll out a vertical line there before I start cutting out the sleeve. So after I'm done with that, the next thing to do now is to remove some inches from the sleeve cap because we are working with the off shoulder style. So to do that, I'm going to measure what I have on the armhole cuff from the front pattern. So I have 6 inches. So I'm going to take that 6 inches to the sleeve cuff and then start measuring from the side sleeve and stop where my 6 inches stop before I connect it to the center and cut it out. I'm also going to cut out the band from the sleeve and also label the pattern. So guys, after I'm not cutting out the sleeve and label it, this is what it's looking like, and this is everything that we have drafted. So the next thing to do now is to transfer it to a fabric. I just folded my fabric into two, and the back pattern is going to cut on fold. So I'm going to add my stitches allowance to the place I've not had stitches allowance to when I'm drafting the pattern. So for the hemline, I had 1 inches for the hem allowance before I cut it out. So after I'm not cutting out the back fabric, I also did the same thing to the front. So guys, after not transfer the pattern to the fabric, I'm also going to cut out the sleeve as well. So I folded the fabric into two to cut out one pair of sleeve. I also had stitch allowance to the place I'm not stitch allowance to. I did the same thing to the band, but the band is going to be double. So after I'm done with that, the next thing I did, cut out a facing for the front pieces. So I folded the fabric and I placed my front pieces on top. So use it to cut out the one that I placed under. So after that, I'm going to remove it and then marking 2 inches all the way down. So after I'm done marking it, I'm going to cut it out. So guys, that is it for the body stand facing, and this is everything that we have got. So the only thing that remains is the cape, which is the last thing that I did when I'm sewing it. So in my next video, I'm going to share with you guys how I cut the cape, how I join the pieces together. So if you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and also ring the notification bell. See you guys in my next one. Bye.